firstly, before we get to what is considered, just take us through the process itself. What would happen today?
Now, obviously, what happens is, and this is a process, there's a lot of administrative things that happens beforehand. There's certain programs in prison that a sentenced convicted prisoner or a sentenced person has to undergo for him to become eligible for parole. That is all done what they call by the CMC, the Case Management Committee. Will be monitoring that inmate as to how he progresses to, and for instance, if it's violent crimes, if he attended anger management, all those type of things. And at some stage, then they say his profile comes up for consideration by CMC. CMC look, okay, he's met all the things, and now CMC compiles the file and sends it to the Correctional Parole and Supervision Board for them to consider and say, are they happy with what the prisoner has done or the inmate has done, and if they can consider him for parole. That's the process. So there's a CMC, Case Management Committee, that deals with him first, and he has got a case manager, and thereafter it gets sent to the parole, and the parole board consists of various stakeholders and people from the community as well as from correctional services, and they make a determination, has the person meet all the requirements, and can they set certain conditions that this person can be released on parole, day parole, or community that correctional supervision. So that is more or less, just in a nutshell, how the process would unfold.
When you speak of members of the community, apologies for interjecting there, but when you speak of members of the community, would it just be ordinary members of communities or the specific community that he would possibly be reintegrated into?
No, it's ordinary members. It's normally members that works on an ad hoc basis for the Department of Correctional Services. So it will be a person from society. So it's just a person that can be objectively looking at things and say, okay, this is the mores or the morals of society. Does this person now meet this to be reintegrated into a community? So there will be like 2 community members on there. You'll have your deputy and your chair. That is people that works on a full-time basis for the correctional services, but they are also people that has been appointed. And then you'll have the secretary of the committee, that's a correctional officer. And from time to time, you'll have also the case manager that was working with the inmate in the correctional facility to see that all the programs that they told him or her to attend, if he or she did that programs, and then they will consider you. And today, for instance, it's like, it's not that he's going to get bail. They're just going to consider his profile. And maybe if Reeva's mother is going to make submissions, you will listen to it and maybe also make his submissions towards what is being said. But it's not like it's a foregone conclusion today he's getting released on parole. It's just they are considering if he's meeting all the requirements as set out in the Correctional Supervision Correctional Services Act to be placed on parole in terms of the relevant sections of the Act.
Now, how much weight do the submissions of the family of the victim actually hold in this whole process?
No, it holds a significant value or impact. So, of course, they need to do like what they call a victim impact statement. And in this instance, the actual victim was Reevan Steenkamp, who is now deceased. But her parents, because they are her parents, they were also affected by this crime that was committed by Mr. Pistorius. So they will also have to come and make statements. And we know now the father is of ill health, so the mother will represent. So she must also now make submissions to say that what she feels. And there's various things that they look at it, how his release will also affect the community in which he's going to be released. But with him being a national icon, or used to be a national icon, this will have mixed emotions amongst the entire South Africa. So they need to view how this will, and then they look at what the mother is saying, how it has affected them. And obviously they will look at signs of remorse. What has he done? Has he reached out to the family? All those things. And actually, is he a rehabilitatable person? Because obviously we say he's in a correctional center, which means we're trying to correct his behavior. So we need to get him to a point where he is ready to be reintegrated. So they will be talking about that, and it's not something that will be lightly considered, but they will not also just say, okay, you need to sit there for 13 years. But if he hasn't made the programs or completed programs that they feel you should have done, then obviously they will just say, we're reminding you for a further profile. That's the words that they use. Say, we remind you for further profile, you need to do X, Y, and Z for us to get your file back to reconsider if you are eligible for parole. But as the X stands, he has served half of his sentence, so he becomes eligible. But we must know parole is not a right, it's a privilege. So if you go under correctional supervision, you are still it's a form of punishment. So it's not a right that he automatically has to be released on parole.
All right. Mr. Hart, thank you very much for your time this morning. That was criminal law expert Elton Hart.